Hello, this is Amber Willenberg from the U of L Libraries, and in this video, we're going to explore the characteristics of scholarly journal articles and their role within the larger information ecosystem, consider useful keywords and other strategies for finding relevant sources for your individual research topics, and use key library databases to begin finding relevant scholarly sources in writing studies and related fields. Your annotated bibliography assignment requires you to find peer-reviewed articles in the field of rhetoric and composition or applied linguistics. Before we begin strategizing and searching for articles, let's first talk about what a peer-reviewed source is. Let's take a look at this article, Cyborg Gamers, Exploring the Effects of Digital Gaming on Multimodal Composition. This is a scholarly peer-reviewed source, but how do we know this? First of all, we can read the abstract to find out that this article reflects upon a recent research study the author conducted. This is a key feature of academic articles. They add new knowledge to an ongoing scholarly conversation through research. Next, we can see that the author conducting this research is associated with Ferris State University. Academic articles are most often written by professional scholars associated with a college or university. We can also see that this article was published in Computers and Composition. If we Google this title, we can find out more about this publication. We can see right away that Computers and Composition is an international journal devoted to exploring the use of computers in writing classes, writing programs, and writing research. To find out if articles in the journal undergo peer review, we can look to the guide for authors and see if peer review is mentioned. This article was published in a peer-reviewed journal, meaning the article has undergone a formal review process involving other scholars reading and responding to the work. Finally, if we scroll to the end of this article, we'll find an extensive bibliography, almost 2 pages of citations. Academic articles are written as part of a larger scholarly conversation on a topic, and the bibliography shows how the authors have situated themselves within that conversation. By citing sources like this in your own research, you're participating in the scholarly conversation as well. Now that we have an understanding of what academic peer-reviewed sources are, we can talk about finding them. You have probably used Google and Google Scholar to find articles in the past. Google and Google Scholar are search engines, meaning they crawl the entire web for results that match your search terms. Unlike Google, which will give you results from websites, news articles, blogs, Wikipedia, organizations, and much more, Google Scholar only retrieves results that it considers scholarly. Let's head over to Google Scholar and talk about some of its strengths and limitations. I'm going to type multimodal composition into Google Scholar's search box. This search gave us over 300,000 results. A lot, but probably fewer than we'd get on Google. One of the strengths of Google Scholar are these cited by and related articles options. If you find a really great article on your topic, these tools allow you to find other similar articles and follow the scholarly conversation that's happening around your topic. Google Scholar has many limitations, though. Since it's a search engine, it has a very broad definition of scholarly and may retrieve many results that aren't high-quality peer-reviewed sources. You might also run into a paywall and not be able to read the whole article for free. One last limitation is that there are not a lot of options for limiting your results. 300,000 is a lot to go through, and we can really only limit them by publication date. Unlike Google Scholar, library databases are not search engines. They are curated collections of academic and professional sources, meaning human subject experts decide which resources are most useful for researchers and should be included in the database. You'll never run into a paywall in a library database because your tuition dollars pay for the library to provide access to these expensive resources. And since databases are curated collections, your searches will return fewer results, but those results will be higher quality than those in Google or Google Scholar. Databases also have a lot of options for narrowing down your results to help you find the most relevant results. Now that we know why library databases are the best place to conduct your research, let's get started searching. We'll head over to the library homepage, library.louisville.edu. Since you're probably off campus right now, one helpful thing you can do right away on this page is go to Accounts at the top right and click Off Campus Login. Enter your ULink ID and password here so that you don't have to log in later when you start finding articles. The best place to get started finding academic peer-reviewed articles is our subject guides on the left side of the page under Quick Tools. The library provides access to hundreds of databases, and these subject guides divide up our databases by subject area, making it easier for you to find the most relevant resources for your research topic. When you click on one of these subject guides, you'll find a handful of the very best databases in that subject where you can search for articles on your topic. You'll probably find that the best subject guides for research in the field of rhetoric and composition or applied linguistics are Communication Studies, particularly the databases Communication and Mass Media Complete and Linguistics and Language Behavior Abstracts. Education, particularly the databases ERIC and Education Full Text. And English, particularly the databases MLA International Bibliography and JSTOR. However, you can certainly try out other subject areas and databases that make sense for your topic. Let's go ahead and try out a search in a Communication Studies database, Communication and Mass Media Complete. The first thing you'll notice in the database is that, unlike Google or Google Scholar, there are multiple search boxes at the top of the page. This is because searching in library databases is different than searching in Google or Google Scholar. We often search in Google using full sentences or phrases. In library databases, though, we'll search using keywords, the most important words from our question, and we'll put these keywords in their own search box. For the purposes of your assignment in this class, some keywords that you might want to consider combining with your threshold concept are composition, writing, writing studies, rhetoric, language, communication, or literacy. Let's go ahead and start out with the same search we did in Google Scholar, multimodal composition. This search gave us only 26 results, a lot fewer than the 300,000 we got in Google Scholar. We could begin looking through these results now to see if there are any relevant articles, but let's instead take a look at some of the more in-depth search features of library databases. Let's start by changing the keyword in our first box to multimodal with an asterisk. This asterisk broadens our search to include any word starting with multimodal, so we'll retrieve results talking about multimodality as well. In the second box, let's type composition, or writing, or literacy. Instead of only retrieving results about multimodal composition, this will broaden our results to include articles about multimodal composition, or multimodal writing, or multimodal literacy. We now have over 300 results. If we look to the left side of the screen, you'll see a lot more limiters than we had in Google Scholar. We can narrow by publication date, source type, language, and a lot more. Since you need to find scholarly peer-reviewed sources for this assignment, let's go ahead and check the box next to scholarly peer-reviewed journals under Limit 2. This gets rid of other professional source types like news and magazines that can be useful for research but aren't scholarly journal articles. We now have 352 scholarly articles related to our topic. At this point, you can begin looking through the articles to see if they seem relevant to your research. I'm going to go ahead and click on an article title that seems interesting to me. One thing to notice is the abstract. Always read this abstract to get an idea of what the article is about before you read the whole article. You should also take a look at any subject terms or keywords listed here. These can give you ideas for other keywords to search in the database. If you decide you want to save this article to read later, there are a couple of options you can choose from. First, you can see if there is a PDF of the article available on the left side of the screen. If so, feel free to save that directly to your computer. Another option is to use the email tool on the right side of the screen to send yourself the article. If there is no PDF, you can click on Find It at U of L to see if we own the article or if you need to request a copy of it. When you click Find It, you'll either see a View Full Text link, which will take you to the article, or a button that says Request Item through Interlibrary Loan. If you see the Request button, that just means we don't own the article, but we will request a copy for you from another school. Just click that button and fill out the form to place a request, and we'll send you the PDF of the article, usually within a few days. One last helpful tool in the database is the Cite button. Click on this to find the article citation in whatever style you're using. You can copy and paste this right into your bibliography, but be sure to look it over and make sure everything is correct. If you ever have any questions while conducting research, librarians are here to help. You can chat with a librarian Monday through Friday from 9 to 4 right from the library homepage. Or click Ask a Librarian to find more ways to get in contact with us. You can even schedule a virtual one-on-one research appointment with a librarian for in-depth research help. Thanks!